So welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss about cost of capital. So we'll discuss about first what is cost of capital. See, the equity shareholders of a company are expecting the dividend from the company, or they expect the share price appreciation. So that's what they expect. The debenture holders or debt holders expect the interest and the safe principal repayment of their money. Thus, the cost of capital is the rate of return that the enterprise must pay to satisfy the providers of funds, and it reflects the riskiness of providing funds. So, assume that the company raises equity or debt. Both the equity holders and debenture holders expect some kind of additional monetary return from the company. The company has to pay it. Okay, so that refers to the cost of capital. The capital which they provide comes at a cost. Okay, that cost can be dividend, share price appreciation, interest, and safe repayment of principal. It is therefore the minimum return that a company should make on its own to earn the cash flows out of which the investors can be paid their return. So as they pay, as the equity shareholder and debenture shareholder are giving capital, the company has to minimum earn at least the money that has to be paid to them. Anything which the company earns more than the cost of capital is what the company can retain. So we look at the creditors payable hierarchy so that we can find out like who is taking more risk and who is taking less risk in providing capital to the company. So this is the order. Uh, the creditors with a fixed charge have the lowest risk, because what is a fixed charge? Fixed charge means any creditor who has given money to the company, but he is securing his loan on a particular machine, or on a particular car, or on a particular vehicle. If the company is not going to pay the repayment of the capital, then the creditor will take hold of that particular machine or car or a vehicle. So that is called as a fixed charge. What is a floating charge? Floating charge is a general promise that the creditors can take any asset of the company. So the creditor is sure about that he will get any asset of the company, but he is not sure which asset he will get. So there is some kind of a uncertainty in the coverage of the asset. So that's called as floating charge. Unsecured creditors, these guys don't have any promise. Then comes the preference shareholders. Then lastly come the equity shareholders. Okay, so assume a company gets bankrupt. This is how they get paid. So the person who has the least risk is creditors with a fixed charge, and the person who takes the highest amount of risk is the equity shareholders. So the creditor hierarchy refers to the order in which financial claims against a company are settled when the company is liquidated or bankrupted. The risk of not receiving any cash in liquidation increases as priority decreases. So equity shareholders get the least amount of assets at bankruptcy. The return required by a provider of finance is related to the risk faced by that provider of finance. So as equity shareholders take the highest amount of risk in a company, they also require a highest amount of return. Secured creditors therefore have the lowest rate of return, and ordinary shareholders have the highest required rate of return. So this is how the rate of return, or the return from the company is set. The cost of debt is less than the cost of preference share, which should be less than the cost of equity. So we can write it like this: KE, which refers to the cost of equity, is higher than KP, the cost of preference share, but KP is higher than the KD, cost of debt. Okay, because equity takes the highest amount of risk, uh, preference shareholders take the lowest amount of risk, and still small level of risk is taken by the KD. So this is how the risk and return are related. So we look at a quiz. This question was asked in September 16 of ACC exam. The loan notes are secured on non-current asset of Parco, and the bank loan is secured by a floating charge on the current assets of the company. In terms of risk to the investor, what are the riskiest and the least risky source of finance for Parco. Okay, so which one is the riskiest? They're asking. See, the riskiest by nature is the equity shareholders. So answer B and D can be the answer. Which one is the least risky? Okay, the loan notes are secured on non-current asset. So, and the bank loan is secured on floating charge. Usually floating charge is a higher risk, but on a particular non-current asset is a lower risk. So the lowest risk is a loan notes. So this is not the answer. This should be the answers. So we have two ticks marks in ordinary shares and loan notes. So the answer should be D. Okay, that's how the answer is arrived. So we look at the different cost of capital in a company. So we have KE, cost of equity share, KD, cost of debt, and KP, cost of preference share. So why is KE higher than the KD? Why is equity investors want more return than the um, debt holders? Equity shareholders are paid dividends only when there's money left after paying other financial stakeholders. So the risk is higher for equity holders. At the time of bankruptcy also, equity shareholders are paid as the last person. After paying all the people only, equity shareholders are paid. So again, they take a risk. Hence, equity shareholders take more risk. Hence, they require a more return. And that is why we have the concept of KE is higher than KD. This is a very important question. So ensure that you understand this concept really well. So there's something called as a reverse yield gap. So just now we saw that KE will be higher than KD. Okay. So sometimes KD can be higher than KE. Okay. So we look at those instances. Sometimes KE will be lower than KD. Why is that? See, we look at this table. So the first table here tells you about the Indian government's bond. So this is the interest rate. These are the interest rate. Okay, and this is a company called as a Navy Lignite Corporation, and this is called as a dividend yield. Okay, dividend yield refers to the return that the investor will get through dividends. Okay, so if you invest in the government bond, it's 6.65. If you invest in the shares, you will get 2.8 as dividend yield. Okay, so how come this can be contradictory? Normally this is the right one. Okay, KE should be higher, but it's only 2.8 here, and the KD seems to be 6.65, which is higher. Okay, the answer is a reverse yield gap occurs because shareholders may be willing to accept lower returns on their investment in the short term in anticipation that they will make future capital gains in the future. Okay, so the concept works like this. The dividend yield can be like 2.8. Okay, so what equity shareholders want, if you take the KE, they want two things here. One is the dividend and two is capital appreciation. We only looked at the dividend part of it and we left the capital appreciation part. That's why reverse yield occurs. Okay, reverse yield gap occurs. Okay, so we should take two things into account, the dividend and also the capital appreciation, right? So take two things into account, then you will get an idea that the equity shareholder wants dividend and capital appreciation. So what are the various methods for computing the cost of capital? So we look at the various methods. To compute KE, we have these methods. We have number one, dividend valuation method without growth and with growth. Then we have the CAPM model. In cost of debt, we have irredeemable debt, redeemable, convertible, and non-tradable debt. In cost of preference shares, we have irredeemable preference shares. Okay, so in an exam, what will happen is the question is set in such a way that you will get a question from a 10-mark question from all of these methods. Okay, so you'll be having in a particular question this method, this method, this method. That will be one part of a question. Or in some other exams, you might have KE found out through CAPM, convertible debt, and preference shares. Okay, so it depends upon the question. The logic is you should be like able to work out all the methods, and that is how the final question is tested. Okay, so ensure that you know all the methods in the cost of capital, so that whatever method they ask in the exam, you will be like comfortable in solving them. You can reach me at my website wowacademics.com, or you can also see my Quora answers. I am active in LinkedIn and in Facebook page, so you can visit at these places. If you just type Sham Prasad and Wow Academics, you will get all these links in Google search itself. And if you like this video, give a like, share to your friends, and if you feel that any points we have missed in this video, you can post it. We will try to give an answer to you in the comment section itself, or we'll also create another video for you. So thank you for watching our video.